Welcome to Informed Bahamian, where today we're going to answer the question, is the Bahamas ready for a third party in government? But before we answer that question, let's play a game. I'm going to call this game Campaign Promises of 2017. In this game, you have to match the campaign promise to the right political party. Okay? So, if elected, we will be a transparent government. Who said that? Reform the energy sector. Which party said this? Put an end to corruption. Which party said this? I'll give you a second. Exactly. So, if you had a hard time with this game, don't worry, because they all said the same thing. You could have put any party anywhere, and you would have been right. The fact is, all of their manifestos, all of their documents, all said the same thing. Every party ran with the same platform. So if you can't differentiate between the current parties, then how could we really be ready for a third one? Politics in the Bahamas has a very predictable pattern. One government gets elected on promises they can't fulfill by buying off voters, paying their bills, and doing anything during the election season to win your vote. Then they get elected and they forget about you, they do their business, and then most likely a scandal happens. Or two. And then the nation gets rocked by the scandal, and during the election, the opposing party reminds you of how corrupt they are, which makes them the good guy, right? Side note, it also doesn't help if you stick your middle finger up during a rally. For the last 20 years in Bahamian politics, the pattern was very predictable. Something like red, yellow, red, maybe yellow again or green. This form of flip-flopping is actually called a political pendulum and normally happens when there are two major parties in government. Basically, their arguments only highlight what the other person was doing so wrong, and then by default, you have to come to them, right? Unless there's a new party. This logic sort of worked when the DNA first came to the scene in 2012. During this election, the Bahamas was split between the two parties, and then the DNA joined just for the heck of it. Many believe the DNA was the reason the FNM lost that election, because they were able to take some votes away from the PLP and some votes away from the FNM. Mostly the FNM though, because the PLPs were very loyal to their party during this election. But then during the next election, the PLPs weren't so loyal. And when the Bahamian people were tired of the PLPs, they know they had to leave. But they didn't choose the DNA. They actually lost half of their supporters. And as we all know, the Red Tsunami came in and took over the Bahamas. But why? From the introductory game, we know that they basically promised the same thing. And Bahamians can't link party to platform anyways. This happened because the Bahamians believed the DNA was too new. They wanted change, but change they could trust. They wanted something fresh, but not too fresh. They wanted something new, but obviously not too new. Even though the DNA's leader is a well-accomplished lawyer and had been in Parliament for years. If you were the DNA, this can become very frustrating for you, because it seems Bahamian politics can be easy. Besides, the major parties just argue back and forth anyway. How hard could it be? But the second you have an argument, the Bahamian people are telling you to sit down. This is grown folk business. For decades now, other political parties have just argued terribly against each other, bickering to a point of senselessness. But now, Bahamians want to know, what will this third party do for me? Why are you here? What will you do for this country? What makes you qualified? It seems the only way to make Bahamians more aware of political platforms is to bring in the new, the fresh, and bring in the third party. Because we naturally begin to question what's new. And maybe this will lead us to question what's old too.